Hey, how's it going? It's Joe, and I decided to make this video. I've been getting some really nice comments on, hey, you helped me with this or saved me some money. I didn't realize such and such worked in a certain way. So I'm going to try to put together a number of mistakes I've made in the past year and a half since I've lived here, or in my many visits coming over to Thailand, and maybe it'll help you save a little money. And myself, I just wear a size 10 Nike, so those are easy to find over here. They cost more. So bring a brand new pair, and in my case I brought like a half worn out pair and a brand new pair, and I'm still on the half worn out pair. They're completely worn out now, but yeah, I just had a shoe guy actually fix a little tiny pencil eraser size hole in the mesh, and maybe I'll get another 3-4 months out of them. I'm not looking for style points, I'm looking for efficiency here. But the shoes I got them on sale at the Nike outlet. I want to say if you bought 2 pair, they were 80 bucks each, or 160 for 2. They're normally like 110 each. Over here, that same pair, I just happened to price them in the Nike store, were about 140 US dollars. Now I've heard other guys complain. You would think the Nike store would be able to order anything. If you're a size 14 double wide, that is probably going to be tricky over here. You can probably order them, but to just go into even the Nike store, that's going to be a one-off, especially in the one style you may want. A mistake I avoided was I brought plenty of deodorant. I knew they only have this kind of spray-on or band roll-on type. If you're a speed stick man or you have a particular brand you like, we'll go to Costco, load up, bring a 6-pack at least. And again, not a mistake I made because I rarely shave. I just hit the face with a beard trimmer. Not that I have a beard, but I have a 5 o'clock shadow every couple of 2-3 days. But if you shave your head every day or rely on the new fancy Gillette Razor 3s or whatever, if you can even get them over here, they're going to be pretty expensive. Here's the little cheapy Big Flex. It's $269 for 3 razors. They don't even have the super expensive brands in here, but when you do see them, they're about $3 for 1 razor. Now, I brought plenty of clothes, but if I made a mistake, I wish I would have gone to Ross or Marshalls and really loaded up on the Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, whatever it is, dry fit shirts. I brought plenty of shorts, dry fit, lightweight, swim trunks. I brought plenty of jeans. Well, I brought 3 pair. That's plenty for me. Shoes, I did well. I brought plenty of nice rip curl shirts and all that I knew I like when I'm going to dress up and wear a college shirt. Those are a little bit more, well, they're a lot more expensive over here at the rip curl store. You might pay 50 or 60 bucks a shirt compared to 25 bucks on sale in the US. So I did okay there. I blew it on the dry fit. So I'm now buying Chinese or Thai knockoffs, and we'll see how long they last. I'm sure they're not going to last that long, but we'll find out. Now, I haven't made this mistake in years and years, but with travel currency exchange, you have to 100% make sure you're bringing clean, unmarked, no tears, no knucklehead who wrote his name on the bill, anything like that, or they will not accept them. This bit me years and years ago, so yeah, I've made the mistake, just not recent. But if you're bringing over whatever it is, a few $1,000s in $100 bills, and $100 is the way to go. I think you actually get a slightly less on the exchange with $20 bills. Hundreds is the way to go. Or 50-pound notes or whatever the larger bill is in Australia. They just don't want to mess around with smaller bills. Another one I just did a non-O retirement visa and got into all the little idiosyncrasies of the visa. So I want to keep it simple. Let's just say some visas require you putting either 800,000 in a Thai bank account or showing at least a 65,000 baht deposit each month. And then you don't have to have the 800,000 in there anymore. Well, I did both. I put over 800,000 in, and I've transferred over at least 70,000 baht, sometimes 100,000 baht each month. It has to be each month. If you miss it by one day, it's not acceptable. In other words, you did a January and then for whatever reason you transferred again January 31st, thinking that counted as a February transfer. Well, it does not. It has to be a January, February, March. So be careful, because sometimes the bank might take 2 or 3 days. I just transferred money over 2 days ago, and there's a holiday. I transferred on a Saturday, and then there's a holiday in the US on Monday. So yeah, this is taking over 2 days, maybe 3 days to transfer. So had I did that on the 30th of the month, it might not have arrived until the next month, and then I would have missed one of the 12 months. So I didn't make that mistake, just throwing it out there so you can avoid that. I always just did my transfer on the 5th or 10th of the month, nice right in the middle. It's clearly a February transfer, it's clearly a March transfer. But the mistake I made was, in my case anyhow, you have to make the transfer in January and February and March. Well, I've transferred at a rate of 30, almost a little over 30 baht to 1, and right now it's almost at 37 baht to 1. So for me anyhow, that was a mistake in doing that 12-month program. I went into immigration. I just didn't want to deal with it anyhow. I'm going to leave the 800,000 baht in there. It's mine to take on my way out the door if I were to leave Thailand, which I don't plan to do. But for now anyhow, I'm leaving the money in the bank. So I stopped with the thinking I need to do a transfer each month. I just transferred over a bunch of money, 15 or 20,000 at a really good rate, almost 37 to 1. Had I did that over the course of the year, and let's say the baht drops back down to 30, 31, 32 to 1, that's thousands of dollars of difference on that $20,000. So if that makes sense. So I guess what I'm saying is you decide how you want to transfer your money over, but keep in mind you're kind of at the will of the baht to transfer it over once a month, not only with the cost of the transfer, which isn't free, but deciding what the rate of the baht is going to be out of your control. I'm not saying the baht's going to fluctuate as much as it has this year. I'm just saying it's not uncommon if you look at the history to see in 1 year, in January it might be at 31 baht to 1 US dollar, and by the end of the year it might be at 36 and a half. That's a lot of difference. Myself, I'm probably just going to transfer money over a couple of times a year when it is at a high level, and that's what I'm going to do. And if it doesn't go to a high level, I'll probably break even anyhow, because I just transferred over at almost 37 to 1 right now. Again, this video shot in towards the end of 2023. If you're watching it in 2024 or 2025, you might say, what is he talking about? The baht's at 29 to 1 right now, or 42 to 1. What's he talking about? I don't know what the future is going to hold. I can just live for today. And I'm 57, so as we get a little bit older, I've been wearing the same pair of Bolle sunglasses for a long time, 10 years. I probably bought a half dozen pair of those when they go on sale at Big Five. So load up if you know you like a certain kind of nice sunglasses, or I don't wear glasses, reading glasses, but if you need some expensive Oakley framed whatevers, get that in the US. I don't know what's going on in the UK or Australia. I know in the US it's going to be cheaper than over here. So load up on things you really like. Just don't assume they're going to be easily available over here. And here's the Power Buy. You'll find this electronic store all over Thailand. It's kind of like a Best Buy in the US. So this brings up a mistake I made with cell phones, and I did it twice. I locked into a contract, a 1-year contract. I bought a cheapy phone, whatever it was, like a $500 phone. And they said, well, you can pay $500 cash, or you can pay whatever the cost was, $400 cash. But you need to sign up for XYZ yearly contract. And at the time, I wanted to use my phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot. And that's what I did. I paid almost 1,600 baht a month, which is a lot, through AIS for a locked-in contract. I got a discount on the phone. And I find out from all my buddies, they're all paying about 200 baht a month, just loading time on the phone, not using the phone for hotspot. They only get whatever it is, 2 gigs a month. or you can use as much as you want. You're just going to have to keep loading time on there. But these guys, they just use it for taxis and grab food and whatever. At home, they're on Wi-Fi for doing any major work on their phone. So it's cheap, a couple $100 baht. Me, I'm paying 1,600 baht. I am using 40 gigs or more of data hotspot on my phone. But I ended up switching recently, a couple, 2-3 months ago, to fiber Wi-Fi for $24 a month, and that just works 100 times better and faster than my Wi-Fi hotspot ever worked. So that is 2 mistakes. But the real problem is I did it twice. So then this cheapy phone, I then wanted to upgrade to either the best iPhone or the best Galaxy. I went with the Galaxy. That's what I film all these videos on. Just try to be a little discreet, walking around holding my phone rather than, I have all the GoPros and all gimbals. I have all that stuff. But when you're walking around with a microphone and a phone or a GoPro on a gimbal, everybody's kind of looking at you, where right now they can't really tell if I'm just looking at a movie on my phone. So I try to be a little discreet and not freak people out. But anyhow, I bought the most expensive, and it's a little bit more over here. I'll make up the numbers. If the phone were $1,200 US at Costco in San Diego, it was probably closer to 1,400, maybe 1,350 over here in Thailand. And she said the same thing. Well, I'll give you the phone instead of 1,350 US. You can have it for whatever it was, $900, but you're locked into that contract. And you have to do the math. I don't think I came out ahead by saving $300 on the phone. I probably would have been better off just paying for the phone and then paying 200 baht a month to load time on the phone. You'll have to do the math on all that. The best situation probably would have been to buy a brand new phone on my way out the door in San Diego on sale with no contract, or maybe even buying an unlocked phone on Amazon. I don't want to get into shipping stuff over here on Amazon. It's a little tricky and it's a little hit or miss. Some people might say they've never had a problem. Others will say they got a message that said they had to go to the airport and pay customs when Amazon should have paid customs on the deal anyhow. So I'm not dealing with it. I'd rather just pay the extra $150 at the phone shop and make sure there's not a problem. Another mistake I made, and again, I've made plenty, was I only bought 2 small fans, just like those little tornado size. I don't know why. I guess I was just thinking smaller is better. I want to, be able to move from one apartment to the next and not have to deal with a bunch of stuff, on and on. Anyhow, I paid kind of top dollar for those like Tornado fans, 2 of them, in my en-nude apartment, and that place was always hot, so I used the AC often. Whereas recently in my new apartment, it's kind of a big place compared to my old apartment. I went from 31 square meter to 52 square meter. So in my new place, I went to Big C and bought 2 big, huge they're Sharp, big Sharp 26-inch fans. And man, those 2 fans pump so much air through that apartment, especially if I have the windows open, that I just don't need the AC. So that definitely was a mistake, not realizing how much bigger fans would cool an apartment down over here in Bangkok. So I probably spent a lot more on air conditioning than I needed to. And this is a mistake I made in Hong Kong, but I could have easily made it at an ATM machine here in Thailand. The ATM machines here, and I've mentioned it in other videos, and I just heard Johnny There's Something Happening. I like watching his videos. He mentioned it in a video the other day. You have to be real careful when you do your transaction. It gives you the money first, and then it returns the card after. It asks you if you want a receipt, and then it returns the card. What I did in Hong Kong was even worse, because I jumped off a plane from LA to Hong Kong. I was a little tired, and I was going into the city. So right when I went through, I think you go through immigration first, I hit the ATM machine right there by suitcases. I didn't have a suitcase, but I got money out at the ATM, ran through customs, and realized, oh no, my card's still in the machine, and I'm now outside of customs and no way to get back in there. So for me, I lucked out, and it was a yellow, green, and blue bank. Well, I remembered it was the yellow bank, and they had a branch, and luckily it was whatever it was, 8:30 in the morning, and they were opening up. So they really did me a favor, ran upstairs and got my ATM card out of that machine. I now have a backup ATM card, or an ATM card from, in my case, Chase Bank and Navy Federal. So multiple banks, multiple cards will make your life a little easier. Be careful. I've read a lot of things about Wells Fargo shutting people down if they find out they're not living in the U.S. You, at the very least, want to give them, and I give all my banks a U.S. address. I'm still technically hooked to the U.S. with for different reasons, but for whatever reason, other people come to Thailand and it's like, this is it. This is my 100% Thai address. And then you go through all the hassles with dealing with Social Security and on and on. I'm sure it can all be done, but if there's any way you can just have a U.S. address, if it's a friend's house, parent's house, whatever it is, that might make your life a little bit easier. Riding the bus to Pattaya from, say, the Ekamai bus station. It's really cheap. I want to say it's 130 baht one way. I made the mistake of showing up on whatever it was, Friday afternoon, which is probably the busiest time to go from Bangkok to Pattaya, and coming home on Sunday afternoon is probably the second busiest time. I made that mistake, so what happened was you show up and the buses take off, I think, like every 15 minutes. Well, I show up at 3 in the afternoon and she says, okay, you can be on the 4:30 bus because everything is sold out in between. So don't make that mistake. If it really doesn't matter when you go, we'll go at Tuesday at 1 in the afternoon, and yeah, you'll get on a bus within 10 minutes. Or swing by the bus station if it's just around the corner and get a pre-booked ticket for whenever you'd like. So let's say Tuesday, you're walking by the bus station and you tell them, I want to be on the 3 o'clock bus Friday afternoon, and they'll sell you the ticket, put your name on a list. You show up 20 minutes, whatever, before the bus takes off, and your seat's ready to go. I've now learned to do that. Plus, the second I get off the bus, I don't know if you can buy the return ticket in Bangkok. I never asked. I never asked. I'm sure you can buy a round trip ticket. But what I do is I just get off the bus in Pattaya and say, if it's Friday, right when I get off the bus, I go up to the window and I say, may I please have a ticket for whatever it is, Sunday afternoon or Monday morning at the exact time I want to go. Because in the past, I made the mistake of, well, I know those buses are busy and I know I want to get back to Bangkok at whatever, leave before 5 p.m. or when I have to check out of my hotel. So I'm going to check out of my hotel at 11 and head over there, and hopefully, within an hour I'll be on the bus. Now I just buy that ticket when I get there, and it makes life easier. And looking at these flip-flops, it brings up, which isn't such a huge mistake, but I did go to Ross and Marshall's, wherever, and I bought really good Reef sandals or flip-flops, Reef, Quicksilver, some good ones. I brought over 4 pair, I think, figuring I'm just going to wear these most days of my life. Well, when I got over here, and I've been here before, so I kind of knew this was an issue, but then again, those were more vacation times, and shorts and flip-flops was the uniform of the day. But living over here, walking around Bangkok especially, some of the sidewalks are so uneven. They're tiled, and the tiles are coming up, and walking around in those flip-flops, you will break a foot or very least bust toes open. So now I just wear flip-flops when I'm just heading down the block, but 9 out of 10 times I'm wearing the Nikes and having at least a little bit of protection. So don't rely on the flip-flops if that will avoid a mistake. And I ducked into the Starbucks to sit down, get off my feet for a minute. Another mistake I made was I didn't 100% understand how my U.S. health insurance, which was Blue Cross, still is, Blue Cross Federal, how it worked abroad. I tried to get the information before I left. I maybe didn't do a good enough job. Where my problem is I spoke to the customer service representatives who may or may not know what's going on with international. What I should have did was ask to speak to the international billing people, and in the case of Blue Cross, it's not even Blue Cross, it's a whole different company that all they do is handle all these different accounts overseas. Now they're working on behalf of Blue Cross or Aetna or whatever different insurance companies they are. I think they also handle Australian and UK companies, but those folks, they know what's going on. I should have talked to them, because what happened was I came over and went to Bumrungrad Hospital. I've been in there twice now for just different appointments, and it's taken me 2 or 3 appointments to figure out how exactly my insurance works. I was under the understanding, mistakenly, that I only owed 15% of the bill, and that's not how it works. In other words, if I came over here and something was $100, I figured, well, I owe $15. That's fair. That's not how it works at all. If the bill is $100 over here, but I'm at an ophthalmologist, say, and my copay is $40 to go see a specialist, an ophthalmologist, it's $40 copay in the US and $40 copay here in Bangkok. That's how it works. I was clearly informed, your insurance follows you. It doesn't matter if you're in the US or Bangkok. So I don't know if that's how it's going to work for you, but I made the mistake of not knowing how it worked until I got over here. There are a few things in my insurance plan, like an x-ray. There's no copay for an x-ray, but I then pay 15% of the x-ray. If it's $50, well, then I pay $7.50. That's where I was confused about the 15% part. Another thing I did wrong was I kept my Amazon Prime account for movies, and I kept my Netflix, both my US accounts, and whatever the cost is, I don't know, but I think the Amazon was like $16 a month. Again, these aren't major problems, but heck, why do it if you don't have to? I finally found out if I cancel it and I'm able to open a Thai Amazon account for $5, I think, for the movies. And that's what I did. I ended up canceling that and turning on HBO and what else do I have over here? I have HBO, Netflix. You can't get Hulu, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But what I did was I got the cheaper plans, and they're pretty darn cheap. The HBO and the Netflix is about $10 or $11 for the both of them, I think. And you do have to do it through a Thai phone number. So they don't care if you're in Thailand. If you don't have a Thai phone number, you're not going to get those deals. But I made the mistake of keeping that Amazon plan on for over a year before I figured out, why am I spending all this money? I'm not using Amazon packages, so I shut that down. So keep all that in mind. Now, Hulu is only available in the US as far as I know. I did get a VPN over here, so I can put Amazon on my TV, the VPN on my TV or laptop, and switch over from, you're on Thai Netflix. So when you turn it on, it'll show you a lot of the same things that are on regular Netflix in the US, but a bunch of Thai movies will come up and on and on. So you just switch the VPN to, I'm in Miami, Florida, and boom, there's all the US Netflix availability at the price of the Thai account. And I'll let you make your decision on the VPNs. I just use it for a little bit of safety. It's a little bit of a fire block, I guess, and different times I thought, for different reasons I have the VPN, but I just, for banking and all, maybe it's a little bit overkill, but when I do any online banking, I make sure I'm on the VPN from the United States, just in case at some point I get some nasty letter from whoever, if it's Chase or whatever, hey, you seem to have logged on from Thailand for the last 5 years in a row, let's have a discussion. I just switch over to the VPN, and whether that helps or not, I assume it's helping. And the VPN's cheap enough. I think it's $2 or $3 a month if you buy it 2 years at a time. I'm using Surfshark. I know a lot of YouTubers, they say, hey, use NordVPN and use my affiliate link below, because they'll pick up $1 or $2. There's nothing wrong with that, and supporting your channel. I'm sure it's a great company, but I just ended up using Surfshark. Another thing I did wrong was I didn't 100% fully understand the visa process. I'm on a retirement visa, and I, of course, researched it from the United States, but I didn't really understand entirely how to apply. I just almost thought, well, I'm going to come over and get an agent and have them do it all, because it's a lot of thinking when you're moving overseas. Even though it costs whatever it costs, a couple of $1,000s the first go around anyhow, or close to it, to hire that agent, I just figured I'm gonna have enough on my plate. I don't want to mess that up, and on and on. Well, I ended up doing it on my own. I'll put another link in the description of this video. It's really not that difficult if you just have a little bit of patience. Watch my video. It's crazy long, 45 minutes, whatever it is, but it just takes that long to explain the process. It's a lot of paperwork that has to be done exactly correct, and you can get it done and save yourself the $2,000 and at least understand the system. I think there are a lot of people that are over here and they've been here 15 years, 20 years, and they're like, nope, I've used an agent the entire 20 years and I can't be bothered, my time's too valuable, and on and on. And that might be so, but 9 out of 10 times that guy's saying it sitting on a bar stool he's been sitting on for the past 6 hours about how valuable his time is, when he just never wanted to learn the system, or maybe was a little intimidated by heading down to immigration. So don't be that guy. Head on down there and figure it out. It's not complicated at all. If you don't want to do it, hey, hire an agent, but don't make excuses that your time's too valuable. I mean, everybody, especially when they're retired, has time to head down to immigration, especially to save $2,000, in my opinion anyhow. One mistake that I have been lucky to avoid is ringing that bell in the bars. You have to be a little bit careful, especially when everybody's pretty drunk and somebody rings the bell. What the bell is different bars have different rules, but they all have a bell. And depends where you are. If you're in, say, a beer bar in Pattaya, you ring that bell, it's everybody gets a drink. Usually there's 3 other guys sitting in that beer bar and maybe 4 ladies and a bartender. So you just bought a beer for everybody. In Bangkok, oftentimes if you ring the bell, and you're in a place that there are ladies, all the ladies get a drink. But 9 out of 10 times when you ring that bell, every single person's getting a drink. Well, what happens is, and it's happened to me, you'll be in a place and somebody will ring the bell, and even if you have a half full beer in front of you, they just immediately bring you another beer. They're not like in the US where they turn a shot glass upside down. Hey, your next one, when you're ready for it, it's ready to go. Here, it's just, to make things simple, somebody rings the bell, everybody gets whatever they're drinking, you just get another one, and that person pays a pretty fat bill. But where you get into problems is sometimes guys will feel obligated, and maybe it's stretching their budget. If somebody rings the bell, well, now they have to ring the bell. What you want to do in that case is stay within your budget. If you get a free drink when somebody rang that bell, well, sure, whoever rang it, go up to him 15 minutes later or whatever it is and say, hey, thanks for that cocktail. What do you have? Another San Miguel Light? Let me set you up. And just do it that way. Stay within your budget anyhow. Again, not a real problem for me. And I say it's right, say it's wrong. I'll oftentimes go into, say, my friend Stella's bar, and I buy Stella a drink 90% of the time. If she doesn't have one in her hand, if it's a slow night and it's just 2 customers in there and I'm one of the 2, yeah, I'll buy her a drink. She's a hardworking business person, and I'm sure every little bit helps. But that is different than buying 15 people in the bar a drink. That's a little bit more 2-week millionaire kind of status. And I'm looking here at the little McDonald's. I don't eat a lot of McDonald's over here, but they do have some pretty nice slushies, which I'm taking one up to the movies. They have a Coke and a Sprite slushie for 29 baht. It's pretty good. I also got the pineapple pie. So I eat my share of junk food over here, but I try to keep it healthy. And a mistake a lot of guys can probably get into is being afraid of the Thai food. If it's too spicy for them, that kind of thing. So they just eat McDonald's and Burger King and just junk every day. This McDonald's is expensive. I'll look through the window here. Well, it's an electronic board. It'll flash up there in a minute. But when you're ordering a Big Mac and fries and a large Coke, it's going to be $8-9 US, where you can go down to where are we at? Do they have a food court here? No, they don't have a food court, but what they have is a Tops Market down below that has a diner counter. You can get an amazing meal for 80 baht, bottle of water, and you'll just have to figure it out. Like the pad krapao, anybody can eat pad krapao. It's just kind of a ground up pork, and they throw it on rice, a little basil, I think. Yeah, it's delicious. Anybody can eat that. And as far as spicy, I'm half Mexican and have had spicy my whole life, but I love it. It can't be spicy enough for me. But over here, things aren't spicy at all. I don't think. But 9 out of 10 places, they don't add any spice, and then there's just chilies that they put on the side, the different chili sauces, or there's red chili flakes to sprinkle on. So yeah, get out there and figure out your chicken and rice, or your whatever it's going to be, whatever different kinds of soup, and then don't put any spice in there at all. Or in my case, I have to really spice it up. But just don't be afraid to try all the local foods. The street foods are amazing. I will admit I eat more in the food courts than I do out on the street, but I've sure had my share of street food, even recently. If it's leaving a place late at night at whatever it is, 1-2 in the morning, yeah, that guy grilling up those little sausages, and the lady sitting right next door with the cut up pineapple and all, that is a delicious 2 in the morning meal, and it's even better when it's $2. And I'm sure I'll go back to the US at some point, but those Ralph Lauren sheets over there, for a king size set of sheets with a flat sheet, that's impossible to find over here. Good quality, I don't know what they are, at least 1,000 thread count sheets. 18,000 baht. To put that in perspective, my rent is 19,000 baht, which is about $500 US. So that's what a good set of sheets is going to cost. Even these sheets, they're not Ralph Lauren. I looked at a couple of packages there, and they were still over $200 US. So bring at least one good set of queen size sheets. That would be the best guess. I guess you can pick your condo that only has a queen size bed, but that's about 9 out of 10 units. I happen to have a king size bed right now, but that's a little bit unusual. Sheets are expensive. Flat sheets are impossible to find. I use a regular fitted sheet as my comforter. I mean, that's personally, I don't want to be under a blanket with the air conditioning going, so just one single sheet is perfect. But I looked for a flat sheet forever. I finally found out you can only really get flat sheets from Ralph Lauren or different US brands, and if a set of sheets is $500, the one flat sheet is going to be over $100, and I'm not paying $100 for one lousy sheet. So some nice sheets are important to you, and I'll tell you what, I'm sleeping on 200 thread count $30 sheets right now. That's okay with me. I don't really care. I would have liked to have found some flat sheets to use as a blanket, but I know nice sheets are especially important to all the girlfriends I've had over the years. They want really, really nice sheets. Well, at least pick up a really good set at Costco or something like that and bring them over. Not really a mistake on my part, but you cannot get dryer sheets over here. They put fabric softener in with the wash, but if you're going to toss things in the dryer, I remember one time I was at my girlfriend's house, and she ran out of dryer sheets, and she's like, well, I need to get in the car and go. And I'm like, what's the big deal? Just dry them without the dryer sheets. And she could not do that. So if you're going to be a little particular on wanting those downy dryer sheets, bring 1,000 of them over here, because I've never seen them. And this is just kind of a silly one. When you come into 7-Eleven and you think you're grabbing, say, some sour cream and onion potato chips, seaweed flavor. They're not bad, but they're not They're not sour cream and onion. They do have Lay's barbecue, and then originals. Hot chili squid. I haven't tried that. I'm not a big chip guy, but yeah, I accidentally got the seaweeds one time. Another thing I did was I did not come over with an international, well, I don't even know if international driver's license is a thing. Isn't that? I used to have one way back in the day. It was something silly, like you went into AAA and paid an extra 12 bucks and here you go, here's your license to drive in France or whatever. And I've driven all over the world and they just want a valid driver's license. I've never had a real need for an international driver's license. But where I messed up was I moved from California to Florida right before I moved over here, or right before I retired. And I had, what did I have? How did I mess up? I had a motorcycle endorsement on my California, but I think it was expiring within a year or something like that. So they basically said in Florida, well, if you want a motorcycle license in Florida, you need to take the written and take the driving test here in Florida. And I didn't have the time or really the desire. I've been riding bikes my whole life. I'm not so much a street bike guy, but I just keep it legal just in case I jump on a bike once in a while. I'm a dirt bike guy. But I didn't bother doing it in Florida. So my Florida driver's license is car only. And I'm in no hurry to get a Thai driver's license. I'm in no hurry to drive over here. But at some point, yeah, I'm going to want to rent a car and drive the length of Thailand or whatever I'm going to do. I'm in no hurry to buy a car, that's for sure. But I'm going to want to do some driving over here at some time, and I'm going to want to keep it legal. The other issue is I certainly want to at least get a motorbike license, and so that's where I messed up. Is I've had buddies that said, well, they have a motorcycle license from Texas or whatever it is, and it was pretty simple to come over here and get a Thai motorbike license. So I messed up there. I'm going to have to go through the whole process of getting the car and motorbike license over here, and there's an order to do it in. My buddy messed up and said he got his I don't fully understand what he told me. I think he said he got his motorbike license first, and then like 6 months later he went to get his car license, and he should have did them together and something. He ended up with a weird situation, like he's only allowed to drive within a certain distance around Bangkok for the first year, and then it goes to you can drive anywhere you want. Again, I don't understand the rules, but I think I would have made my life easier coming over here with a motorcycle endorsement on, in this case, my Florida license. So live and learn on that one. I did have a friend who said, yeah, don't even bother getting your now I'm not going to go with this bit of advice, but he told me, don't even bother getting your motorcycle license over here. He said every time he gets pulled over, he just hands them his Washington state license, and they look at it and say, is this good for a motorcycle? And he says, well, yes, it is. And then they just hand it back and off he goes. So I'm not going to rely on that, especially if I have the bad luck of getting in an accident and really push comes to shove and they figure out I'm basically driving illegally. I'm sure that would be a major problem. So that's a pretty good collection of mistakes I've made. I'm sure I've made dozens more, but we'll end it here anyhow. So put some comments down below on maybe mistakes you made that somebody else might learn from. I remember when I was learning to fly little planes, some of the greatest books I read were a series by I think it was a Delta captain called I Learned to Fly That Day, and it was just a collection of some people's worst days in the air, just terrible mistakes that they lived to tell the story about. But yeah, they really learned from that mistake, and hopefully you read their story and don't do what they did. So nothing wrong with making mistakes as long as we can live from them. So thanks again for watching. Consider subscribing to the little channel, and have a great evening.